Welcome back to the Eflare 100k Invitational. We are through with more games than maybe we were expecting, considering we've only seen one. Unfortunately, we have had some technical difficulties as we've had quite a few games going by us. Among You vs X Pro Esports, another one added to the forfeit list. I'm Tita. I'm joined by Michael, Yumi, Cassidy as we populate graves for teams that we haven't really even seen yet.
Yeah, and we move into OS versus Hyper 5 as our next matchup. A bit of a battle between Vietnam and Taiwan in this one, which I love to see some further representation. We talked about the Vietnamese scene a little bit as well in our pre-show when we first got the news that one of those other games was going to be forfeit as well. And yeah, I'm happy to see more representation from other teams, as well as a team that we will have recognized from ESL Challenger Leagues, given that the OS Esports core of this roster has been able to play together now for a couple of years and are still sort of plugging and playing different players into that sort of fifth slot.
And look, for me, the fact that we can have a Taiwanese team in this tournament is really cool, because it does feel like Taiwan has actually found their space in a lot of esports, specifically when you think over towards League of Legends and the like, but never actually been brought up as far as FPS shooters are concerned. So that's really exciting stuff when you consider how many companies are from there, right? Obviously, they've got like the microchip market and everything, which makes so many of these companies just be sort of based out of there. That's pretty cool. But we've got the video out for you guys, and over here, Hyper 5 and OS will, you know what, probably just gonna be a mirage, I'm gonna guess, to be honest. But let's see whether I'm right. No, I'm wrong. We are guessing. I hope you guys realize this, right? We don't know
Fully
what the
just
vetoes
guessing.
are for these teams.
Just like throwing a dart into the nowhere, and hopefully we land on a map that we recognize for best of ones.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ancient is one of those, right? Mirage, Anubis, Ancient, we talked about that. And look, we did see Inferno earlier on, but no surprises that this has come through. It's a very popular map in Asia right now. It feels like it is sort of a more tactical Dust too, and I do love that about it. You know, we've got some bugs, we've got some smokes, we've got some flashes, and that's pretty much all you want from a game.
Yeah, no, it definitely felt like for a while, I mean, at a certain point, Asia was very reluctant to pick up Ancient. I think there were maybe one or two teams outside of the top that were playing this map, but even the top level teams were kind of straying away from it, and you start to see maybe, I think it was Tyloo before Rare Atom became Tyloo, were actually one of the teams that seemed to almost like specialize on the map. I think Lin Vision were another. So it was just the idea that over time, it has become more popularized within this region, which is nice to see. It's been taken up by different regions as well, outside of just the Chinese and the Mongolian scene. So I'm kind of excited to see what should be a pretty well-versed map, given that this is also a map that's seen quite a lot of change with CS2.
Michael, listen, stop talking about analysis for a second. Can we just acknowledge that is a cool-ass logo for Hyper 5?
What is it? Is it a bear?
I think it's a teddy bear wielding like dualies or something with a 5. What I do, that would be sick. Can we get Hyper 5 to a major, please? I need stickers of that.
Yeah, all those dualies purchasers in pistol rounds would certainly be snagging up all those stickers, and maybe Mal will be one of them.
We have a deagle. Oh no, sorry, those are dualies. Never mind. Thought that was a deagle on the HUD for a second. Never mind. Was a little bit condescending.
I only see one Beretta.
I looked at it initially. Yeah. However, it's just going to be waiting for them to swarm their way over. First kill is easy, but the trade is great. Hyper 5 sticking close to each other, and Chance has, however, found the players trying to swing out of A main. This is still going to be a procession forward. It's actually the back lines where HR has pushed through. Ooh, taken down. And with that, it all comes down to PMS and Piccoli, and with Piccoli out of the server, a 1v4 seems incredibly unlikely, so despite a good trade to set things up in Donut, this will be a one round for OS Esports.
Yeah, just tried to go for a fast split towards that A bomb site after throwing a bit of presence in towards middle. Got that smoke down, wrapped to Donut, and although they traded 1-for-1, just unable to deal with that player in Temple and CT, respectively. You know, getting out of A main when there is still CT presence, especially if it's not going to push forward and meet those Donut players. It's such a difficult fight with a Glock. The USP is far more conducive for that kind of a fight. And OS Esports do capitalize on it. Full SMGs. This is not something I'm used to seeing on a second round buy for a CT side. You want a couple rifles sprinkled in there, but they're willing to be aggressive, and they're anticipating that there is no armor bought up here by Hyper 5.
Michael, you know me, I'm a fan of economic conservatism, but funnily enough, this actually works out pretty well for them because of the fact that Hyper 5 have also half bought up into this. So because they've gone for Deagles and P250s and bought down to that average 1500 mark, full MP9s aren't the worst thing in the world. Even when you consider the next round. Now, of course, you need to get there first. Shu, if he's hitting shots like that, will be making things a little bit more difficult. Cedric on the back of the bomb site with a flashbang through is just looking to delay, and he's locked into a corner, can't find any frags. It is Guk to just find him and take him down. And there are 2 players available in Donut. Mao's trying to push forward, but it will be at the cost of his life. Only flying, or rather Fly King, from the A bomb side, while Chance will find out the lurker. So 2-on-2. T's haven't proceeded forward. Fly King is just waiting for any sort of an easy duel to come his way, but he might have missed the timing window. Now, theoretically, the CTs might have to worry about a player having gone all the way to spawn.
Yeah, you can see Chan's moving in from the red room just to cut them off from rotating towards that B bomb site, because that seems to be the plan here for Hyper 5, pushing into spawn and seeing nothing. So they may accelerate the pace, or instead no, wrapping back towards CT, but spotted out by Chan. So now that player in from Donut, Fly King, should know what's coming his way. He was in a very committed angle just in case they crept out from Temple, but getting that plant down is imperative here for Hyper 5, given the investment. And they will secure that much at least. A very good damage round, given that it was just pistols coming into it. And a little scary there for OS, but they read it well.
I mean, if Hyper 5 don't hesitate so much to actually start going back to the CT side, then yeah, that could have been a very different round. Of course, the problem was Fly King played that really well because he hadn't revealed himself on Donut at any point despite his teammate dying early on. So the fact that Chance has given information that, hey, there's a player rotating in from mid, you're assuming that there's probably not going to be 2 players from that side, right? So there should be 1 guy in CT or in Temple or something, and Hyper 5 in the overthinking do unfortunately miss out a timing window that could have been.
Yeah, especially when you're in committed spots like that, sending someone else to, or at least the player that's known about, to search or hunt for information is just one of those small details that can really add up, and definitely did for there for OS. Now committing to rifles, Mal that first kill, and the quick adjustment onto ledge, but losing 2 for 2. In fact, Fly King contributing as well, coming in from cave. That's a man advantage that they'll be able to capitalize on. Cedric as well, just forcing fights into elbow, and they were not ready for that whatsoever. After all that fighting in middle, thought they'd done enough to at least get a little bit of room to breathe. Cedric says no.
I have to say, it's a nice change to see these players looking so sharp, right? In the previous game, we saw a lot of good trading coming out from teams, both on Easy Peasy and on the... God, I can't remember what was her team name, but you know, regardless, there's some good trading coming out on the T side and everything, but yes, thank you. But over here, we're seeing, you know, some pretty sharp sprays, 4-bullet kills. I like it. I like it. Good adjustments.
Yeah, we'll blame Inferno for that more than the player.
Oh, we all do that. Chance, though, right up mid, good for 3. Maybe you can blame Guk for that a little bit, Michael.
Yeah, thought for sure Chance was going to go down after he fumbled the spray on the 3rd player, but doesn't seem like anybody's really going to be hitting the deck too quick, not unless this Deagle finds a nice headshot, and it will. Mao just dancing with him on that SMG, but wanted to get his hands on a rifle anyway, moving into what should be a Hyper 5 reinvestment. I appreciate
Solid stuff, though.
Yeah, OS are willing to be aggressive on these mid-fights. It's so important that you kind of set the precedent early as to what you're going to do in mid, because that's just like a hyper-focal... I mean, it's a very fixated point of the map, which is important for splitting both of the bomb sites.
Like, OS are playing like favorites right now, and I really like that. It didn't feel like Easy Peasy was quite willing to assert the same dominance, but now Cedric might be captured in all alone PMS to take him down. And with that, the A-bomb site, it's been given up. The CTs, they might be considering a save, but with the kind of cast that's in their back pockets, well, that consideration might be staved for now.
This might have been the worst CT start call that OS could have gone for, given what Hyper 5 had planned. You said that was the only player responsible for that A-bomb site, and him dying so quickly just leaves them kind of in limbo, you know, trying to retake mid or force fights on ledge. Put them into a 3 versus 5. Hyper 5 are going to fully capitalize on that space. HR, a good kill, though, on dealing with the lurker in Pikali, but enough room to plant and set up in some solid after plant positions that will make this difficult, but things are getting very dicey now, 3-on-3.
Chu's going to be cut out over here. Too many angles to take care of. He's asked for backup to come through. Pickle, he will be able to help him get the frag, and now the CTs are still insistent on pursuit. Duck behind the big box is going to be a solid man because the smoke will be differentiating his teammates from the bomb. No HP on Lime. This might be HR just looking to go for the full stick. He does not have a kit, and with the 10-second mark coming in, is there a kit he can recover nearby? Yes, there is, but he's revealed his position, and he has to stick the defuse. Lime will have it. First round on the board for Hyper 5.
Yeah.
But they lose everyone.
Everyone will die. That's the curse of Ancient. These late round retakes can result in no one surviving, but honestly, considering it was a 2 versus 3, OS actually had a lot of advantages here. They knew for certain that there was going to be someone isolated. They spotted numbers on that flank via Chans. And once they got that smoke down towards A main, that should have actually, it felt like a 1 round. The last player in line was so low health that he could effectively not challenge. Had that kit been picked up that first tap, could have been a different story. Hyper 5 keeping that pace high though, fast in towards the B play, and even getting caught by their teammates' flashes. This is, again, a very solid call here for Hyper 5, given the OS 3 middle start.
OS's priorities on trying to deathball through together is really being navigated around right now by Hyper 5. And the CTs, are they ready for PMS to be holding down the back lines? Good spam as well. PMS, though, he doesn't have his gun. And what's going on here? Lime can at least recover, but he's lost too many. Fly King and Chance have just moved in all the way. Lime all alone. And the 1v1 might have been taken through by him. A 1v3, too much to ask for. The defuse will just come out. And he's looking to save.
Oh my, he's about to throw all of his utility just to make sure that he gets away with that rifle. Knew that that round was a done deal. I don't know how they keep losing so many of these fights when they have such an advantageous position. They have effective control of deep CT. They had these smokes that were down, but I guess to a certain extent it limited the amount of space that they could take, which made the rotates a little bit easier there for OS. How are they to know that there was only one player there to worry about on that B bomb site trapped inside of cave?
Billy. Oh, can't get the adjustment in time. HR will have the advantage. The off angle working wonders. I do hate the fact that smokes seem to take longer to bloom in CS2 when they are thrown into a Molotov.
Yeah, it's the volumetrics have to do all the calculating.
Yeah.
Sure, those aren't the real technical terms, but I feel like the layman understands. At least I understand, mate.
Not saying a lot in the modern day, but Hyper 5 need to understand a way into this A-bomb site. Cedric will be trying to prevent it. Molotov will make it difficult for him to peek out, but with HR's demise, maybe there's still something for Chance to be doing. He's the only one who's going to be lurking inward. Cedric, while blind, still gets a frag and denies the bomb from being planted. Guk J, a response is nice, but now team flashes aren't helpful. Rather, no, that was one from Mao. Cedric keeps on peeking, and now that he's allowed into the back of the bomb site, OS Esports can completely take over.
Yeah, that gets a little bit worrisome there for OS. Once if that smoke goes down towards CT and that flash from Mao isn't present, Cedric was really just pinned in position and they would have had no sight lines in, so they fought forward past those smokes before Hyper 5 could feel even slightly comfortable to get that bomb down. Doing a really solid job of actually sort of bouncing off of one another. You know, this is the things thus far for OS. They've gone for a lot of different openings here on the CT side, and they've actually been very unfortunate with the way that Hyper 5 are sometimes approaching these openings with the added pace. You know, we saw the mid-take result in 2 opening kills. It came down to a 1-on-1 at the end. But then as well, when they took over B, that could have been another Hyper 5 round, basically punched in, but was stolen from them from the OS retake. Even with the unfortunate starts to some of these rounds, they're not. Hyper 5 are struggling to close these advantages.
Yeah, OS are really somehow playing the trade game on the CT side, it feels like. Although sometimes don't even need to trade. Just some good retakes. Oh no. That's not supposed to be there, and that'll get all the moisture into the walls. It's gonna be damp. It's gonna leave stains. The the paint will start crumbling off, man.
Do you not see how green this map is? There's already so much moisture.
Well, maybe you guys need to stop practicing your smokes on the server. Look up a YouTube video, damn it.
Sure, it was like this when I got here. You're not scamming me out of a deposit that quick. I took pictures before I even set foot in the apartment.
Well, Hyper5 might want to take a picture of this map right now because it is whizzing right by them. There will be no refunds in this upper bracket. Only wins and losses.
And $100,000 on the line. So, best of ones are important. Good flash for HR to get a little bit of a face check down towards B ramp. Molotov's a little deep, and so those first players can actually just mitigate it, just immediately go in for that trade in space, even going past the long smoke, but the flash is brilliant. OS, some really solid team play in as well. Fly King forcing the issue, only Piccoli at the back of the site, and he's spammed to high hell. OS are just unrelenting when these executes come in. They're willing to challenge smokes. They've got the counter utility. Hyper5 are left wanting.
I'm left wanting too. I want some entry kills. I want something to go right for them. Man, Hyper5 is feeling like they're being rolled over. OS Esports having a good time.
Yeah.
Put it into context, guys. It's been 10 minutes and we've gone through 8 rounds, including timeouts.
In a fast game. And that pace will continue.
Right down middle, trades will come out. Shan, just by blind, will continue to contest. These flashes from the T side are doing absolutely nothing. HR now here to finish off what Shan started, and well, they might be looking to finish off the T's as well. Guck, good for the one, but I mean, well, not even good for the one. Rather good for the one peek out. But it is now Cedric who will be contesting back in the A side. Cedric's been untouchable and will be keeping himself alive as he just swings out wide for the second and third. Cedric. This is lovely stuff.
Just feeling great. I mean, everywhere he's going. This time I think it's HR that throws the flash for him, but in a previous round it was Mao from Donut that set him up to come out from CT. You know, where he's fighting, players are being blinded up, and that's just it's such a freeing experience.
Yeah. They're enjoying the fact that there's no skybox.
Yeah. Using the instant elbow smoke as well from CT Spawn.
Yeah. Always a good one. But now, Fast and a Cheetah, Hyper5. Slow and steady hasn't really given them much of a race. Maybe acceleration can be the more traditional route. Liking, giving away information. Seems like a bait and switch setup might be expected, but Cedric's head is now on the floor. And with that, the A bomb site completely free. Do Hyper5 realize it, though? They've been very hesitant to commit very often. And right now, Piccoli's found another, so their hesitance does reward. Flashbang will not catch out Shoes. It's been a good hand with the Deagle. Not a single casualty so far, and even though Shoe does fall in the end, it's still a one round in a very convincing manner. Hyper5 looked a little bit more clean there.
Yeah, I'm actually glad they slowed the roll this time. They've gone through so many of these fast, just free-flowing rounds, and now they get an opening pick where we can see on the minimap that it's a very uncomfortable setup for OS, given that they were 4B, and just by playing passive, by playing it slow, they actually just dodge out on all of that counter utility, the flash plays that OS were going for as a result of losing that man in Donut so quickly. Had they simply accelerated, you know, OS get that free information, they maybe set up for that retake, and Hyper5 have not been done a great job of holding on to post plants.
No, for sure. It's definitely strange because when I say slow and steady, you're right. They've been moving very fast early on, but it seems like they slow down immediately afterwards. So it's nice to see that, you know, slower default from the beginning and letting OS be the ones to make a mistake as they try and go for those counter flashes, to go for those counter picks. And yeah. B-side execute now in the plans, and a double cheetah setup is all OS has to try and prevent this from happening. There is no utility, at least functionally no utility. HR does have a flashbang, but no mollies, no nades, no smokes, and now as they start to go forward, HR is not ready. Lime's gonna have a timing. Caught with utility in his hands, and now Guck's gonna be able to proceed onto the bomb site. There's no damage returned through the smokes either. Bomb flash should be simple enough. No one looking to go for a wild push through the smokes, and as the CTs rotate backwards, it is still a slow one. There's largely been focus from PMS and being a late lurker down mid, so you can see how slow Chance is being on this retake as he goes back up. Now, waits for it. Limes has gone and got another one. He's catching them all off guard. The op shot missed as well. Chance finally able to get a kill or two, but now it's Guk's turn to come alive. Cedric, shot missed again. The op's just not getting anything, and neither is OS.
They hold their ground. Some solid timings by Lime and cracking into that B bomb site. This time not over pushing, not overplaying smokes. Just let OS sit behind them. And I actually think, you know, even in that 4 versus 5, there was a really strong argument to be made for OS to save. You know, the fact that they lost that bomb site was as a result of not having Molotov, not having counter utility to slow down the attack. And had they saved all those weapons over, they would have had those Molotovs. They would have had the smokes needed, but maybe they don't even need ideal weaponry. A start that's very, very quick. Pikali outside of middle just by himself, and a deke angle by Cedric. He just feels like he's trying to get away with absolutely everything. Flash was brilliant as well, but not enough for him to escape.
Waited too long, but he has lowered down a few players here. Chance could have an easier time of things if he wants to just take the swing forward, but no, he's turned around to turn away from the flashbang. Lime keeps him blind and even gets another frag on top of it. 2 for him. Shu is in as well. Hyper 5 will find 4, where they felt like they had no hope left.
Yeah, just a little resurgence at the end of the half, so good work here from Hyper 5. They had honestly some good calls given the openings from OS, but just couldn't quite convert on all of those rounds, and finally, you know, it took that one slowing of the roll on pistols that really sparked what could be the start of a comeback should they succeed in this first half, or rather, in this second half pistol. See dualies for Pikali. Everybody else on USPs.
This is going to be a very quick duel out towards the B lane. Pikali's not able to find anything. There's too many players staring him down. It's an awkward fight. One where they are going to be looking to reface up. There's 3 CTs and they're all lining up. So again, it's not getting any easier, but they are finding the frags. And now T's returning fire. Guk as well as Lime are pushing in from behind, and Chance is left alone. The lurk will find almost nothing. At least it feels like a guarantee. 2 players are low, though.
Yeah, they should anticipate that a flank is possible, so they are doubling up together, only one serving as a sentry, but this should be a free kill here for Chance, so now a 1-on-2 where that bomb is just sitting at those doors, and they're doubled up.
There's a world where Chance can't isolate out the duel, but Guk's just trying to play in the headshot angle. He hears him trying to move forward. They've missed the shots, but the bomb is a little bit too committed inside the bomb door, or inside the B doors, so proceeding through is going to make these shots a whole lot more easy. Chance just wants to try and isolate out one more duel. Line is a 1-on-1, but Chance simply can't connect with the bullets. So many chances given up, so many shots taken, so many heads now finally chopped off. Maybe this was it. I felt like the USPs were going to run out of bullets, and that's how he wins. But no, Michael, it's not quite like that.
I mean, nobody could hit anybody. It was just a lot of awkward back and forths. And, you know, it took a while for Chance to even realize that both were going to be coupled up together, just holding down that bomb. Oh, if he just dealt with Guk, who was playing that headshot angle because he was low HP, you know, he didn't even have to hit him in the head, just hit him in the shoulder. Yeah. That box is not tall enough to only expose the tippity top. Could have been a different story, but OS get punished. You know, this was an aggressive play from Hyper 5 to challenge down B lane, and OS just kept on giving them those duels. You know, they kept hitting and doing decent damage to those players ascending and challenging them, that maybe they felt they could finish off the kills, but where they killed one, suddenly there was another that replaced him, and then there was 3 more players where that came from, so a very targeted attack there from Hyper 5 that left a whole lot of the map exposed. And I can imagine if you're Chance in that situation, you're like, guys, I'm through A, and I've seen and heard nothing, while they're all fighting for their life outside of B.
Yeah. It's not 5 SMGs, but it is 4, Michael.
I'll take the improvement.
It's an iterative process.
Not as many
Of course,
pistols.
Hyper 5 had a very good pistol round when they were up against 5 SMGs. Let's see whether OS can replicate.
Yeah, they had more deagles and more pistols, really. You know, a couple of P250s isn't quite as threatening. One of the limitations of the MP9, of course, will be its effectiveness at range, which is part of why Hyper 5's pistol was successful, is because they had those deags.
P250 is pretty good at range.
Yeah, but you have to hit him 3 times, basically. Hit him at headshot at long range. It's not quite enough to just land a tag to the body. Only really works at mid or close range.
That's how you've got 4 more players with you.
Yeah, I guess a Glock can finish you off. Really bleeding this round out, though.
Yeah. Taking their time, making sure that the CTs use as much utility as possible. It's a different look for OS. Of course, they were the ones accelerating constantly on the CT side. Guk, however, had spotted a player crossing over. Shu was not actually assisting in that peak. Mouse found one. And look, with this, maybe there's a world where the bomb could be planted on the B bomb site because they have vacated A bit too quickly. Mouse also got an MP9, so close range duel could be dangerous, but no, Limes found the kill, and now he's already into sight. Mouse position known and isolated.
Honestly, the fact that I even got a bomb down, like, they're more than satisfied with that. This will pay for the P250s. You know, they found a kill on top of it as well. All this money adds up for this first gun round that OS have planned. The fact that it even allowed this plant in the first place is a little bit of a surprise when you've got so many SMGs that can be sort of hyper mobile, get a lot of information very quickly, especially against pistols where it's much more difficult to sort of punish those peaks. You know, there's been a lot of discussion about punishing wide swings and, you know, the ability for players to adapt to holding angles or peeking into them. So, yeah, definitely a surprise, but a welcome one for OS as we move into this first full AK commitment. And they will have a significant range advantage over Hyper 5. Taking fights and forcing duels early may be a part of the plan.
Well,
We're okay.
HR isn't, however. Bickley's taking the chance to actually start to push all the way through. Get himself nicely nestled behind the cheetah entrances, and with Lime around the corner as well. Lime could have had a chance to maybe overrun, but no. Fly King is actually good for both. There wasn't a double peak, so element of surprise isn't quite enough to overrun him. Fly King is happy to collect.
While clearing out Guk. Good for maybe 2 in this position, but he had to hit the headshot instantly. The first player actually got so caught off guard, he was jumping, but doesn't matter. Trade was always going to be there for OS, and Hyper 5 will concede their first round moving into the second half. OS back into winning ways. It was a string of, 5 rounds, I think, in a row for Hyper 5 coming out of that first half. It comes to a halt here. That's probably very annoying to look at. You know, a player jump spotting you when you're just looking for one exit before tucking your tail between your legs.
Venus might be found if he tries to take this contest. That's the constant risk of taking a one last pick. Maybe I can get an exit frag. No, not worth it.
Yeah, now we know where you are.
Yeah. Hide your shadow, hide your gun, and most importantly, just stay alive. That is significant.
Yep, one last rifle. And it is accompanied by some pretty mobile weapons. You know, the 5.7 and the MP9 can move to try and take this fast mid control alongside a rifle. See Pikali already over towards jump up, ready to challenge towards the ledge, but Lime's actually the first one that peeks.
Oh, beautiful! Lime wasn't able to get success before, but now is a very different case. Guk playing backside is going to be given a chance to maybe find a quick one. Headshot angle does him very well. And with the smoke down, this Molotov is already going to be negated. He can try and stay inside it. Chance is just going to be left with nowhere to go. The Molotov to the back of the bomb site is even more useful, and the fight down mid is not helping out Flyking. He simply can't find the kill. Chance, however, will break onto the bomb site, but there's still 2 players nearby. One in CT and one obviously Gok, who is now also found trying to peek out too far forward. Chance continues his reign of terror. He's been having a great game so far. Seems like the likely MVP candidate, but before we can actually get to the end of the game, we have to get past this round. And with kills like that, it feels like it's almost a given.
This will mark the second round in a row as well, where they've had the man advantage, but quickly conceded it afterwards. Guk did well to stay alive for as long as he did on the bomb site, but his reinforcements, his help, didn't do a whole lot for him. Couldn't provide extra presence to distract from his position. We just saw OS players holding in at headshot around that smoke, waiting for him to finally emerge, because that smoke was not going to last forever. And then we saw the mid setup breakdown in the round prior when I think it was HR that walked through the B lane smoke. I was taken down by a player already sending up on ledge. It's actually kind of staggering how quick these rounds have burst into flames after Hyper 5 have a man advantage to play off of.
That is sort of one of the problems of being so reliant on a couple of players whose firepower necessarily isn't really committing to the same way, right? You've got no one like a Chance on your team right now who's just completely taking over the server. Flyking's had a few of these really explosive moments as well. Hyper 5 has players consistently getting 1 kill per round or so, but it doesn't feel like anyone's really showing that they can take over the game. Oh.
Solid kill, but does he expect this as another player so close? May not even need to fully clear that out. His teammates are wrapping in from CT, and PMS seems blissfully unaware, but turns at the right time to pull his 5-7 out from as he dies, as his teammate does, almost in sync, and there's no more presence here on this B bomb site. Very nice call here from OS, capitalizing on that open space through mid, and effectively wrapping into B, where nobody had any indication until it was too late.
Yeah, very clean.
This is a Hyper 5 team that I'm not too familiar with. I wouldn't have had too much exposure to them in competing for international tournaments, but I think you had sort of informed me a bit. They recently won an event, like an online event that was pretty much like an exclusive to Vietnam, and they were at the top. You know, they proved themselves ahead of the rest in Vietnam.
With a lot of the old school Vietnamese players sort of seeming like they might not be willing to play or might want to retire, from the 335 Chao Kao Mei lineup, Hyper 5 is on paper the best team in Vietnam from what I understand. Now look, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe there's a sleeper team or whatnot, but on paper this is supposed to be it. And you can see a lot of what is present, right, in terms of, you can see some of the structure and everything that is there. But unfortunately, a lot of this hesitation, a lot of this sort of second-guessing yourself, even in the previous round, you talked about how there was a second player in cave, but no one's actually trying to make a move, trying to make a play. And they suffer because of it. Now, might be the loss hurrah. Cedric's already through the smoke. He's finding down here, and it is sure to come out on top, but he's run out of bullets. HR and Chance just dominating in middle. And in a quick exchange, Hyper 5 have already given up the round unless PMS can come through and be a hero. And they need him to be one.
Almost certainly. I mean, Chance has done more than that. He's gone above and beyond for this OS squad. 26 kills. Could find a third one as well on PMS's transition into that A bomb site. Chance just holds the rotate, but there could be a timing where he looks back to ledge. No, one bullet was all that was needed for either exchange, and now a one-on-one for PMS. He could clutch this one back. You said they needed this round. They needed heroics from him. It's a patience game versus him and Mao.
Mao's not acting patient at all. He's taking initiative immediately. He's expecting PMS to be slow about things. You can see the difference and experience is coming in. Mao is not second-guessing himself at all. And now, As PMS is just circling around, looking in places where Mao used to be once upon a time, it feels like the round is gone and given up a smoke to A main, and PMS feels like that's the only angle left, but no! He's just not ready for the speed.
He wouldn't have planted there and played from Donut. A main, Temple, those were the likely options, and he just simply wasn't there in time to stop him crossing Temple and wrapping Spawn. Really nice heads-up play there from Mao, and was so fixated on Red Room just in case there was some wrapping play and you know, a late peek from a PMS. He gave him full respect, but still played him like a fiddle.
OS is looking to close things out here now. Have a quick day at the office. Off shot miss from Shu is definitely going to be conducive to that as well. Two players have already crossed by to Red Room, and now you can already see the CTs floundering. Where do we go? What do we do? Do we push down mid? That's not worked for us before. Maybe try and refocus back on Red Room, but I've only got an MP9 on PMS, and now they're jumping up. He's lined them up as well. PMS. Some help perhaps given by Cedric, but still, it's now Gok to go and pick up a quick frag. OS are not in the green yet.
Oh, Gok asleep at the wheel. Didn't react to the peek there from HR, and enough room to get this plant in. It is a 2-on-4, but they have good positions to be able to hold on to this Fly King. An excellent shot to instigate, and a fresh smoke CT.
HR is right behind it. Shu. Oh, position revealed for HR. Otherwise, Shu could have been caught out while the smoke was dissipating. Piccoli is down. Fly King continues to hold. Lion will finally take him out of the server, and HR now caught in the confusion, and Chaos doesn't know if there's no one coming out from Donut. First kill should have been free onto the AWP, but no. Shu's missed another shot. Shu's down as well. OS will recover a 2 versus 4. Hyper 5 simply around to save their lives.
Oh, dear. I mean, a really solid job from OS. From CT to T, they played a very solid game, made some really good reads on the open space on the map, and now a 2 versus 4 on top of that. A really solid performance, I think, individually here from OS, but also on the macro level. I feel like they understood a lot of what was going on in these rounds, and even had a lot of unfortunate events happen on that CT side that they still didn't let go of. You know, Hyper 5 had those opportunities, but couldn't close.
I think we saw a tale of two very different teams in terms of just experience, though, right, Michael? Because Hyper 5, you mentioned, they're getting a couple of advantages early on. It's good to see, right? But at the end of the day, they slowed down so much after getting those advantages. It felt like they were so unwilling to push forward with that. I don't know if it's intimidation. I don't know if that's sort of how they play traditionally, but you know, we can see everything. We've got the all-seeing eyes, and with the all-seeing eyes, it felt like, oh my god, they're about to take this round away, and then they just wouldn't press W for a while. Unfortunately, if you compare that to what OS is doing, hell, even those last, few rounds where the clutches go their way, there's no uncertainty at all in this team.
Yeah, no, when they recognized that there was a gap, they capitalized on that gap. They didn't think about, oh, what, maybe there's a lurker, maybe there's an extra man around the corner that I'll not check and I'll give away my advantage. Sometimes they need to press that issue, and yeah, it did feel like there was maybe a lack of initiative at certain points from the Hyper 5 players. There was some good moments where they did slow down and it really paid off for them. But OS were just all over them, just tactically. They also had a Chance that was playing out of his mind in this game with his hyper aggression. His trades were great, and the way that he was willing to take those risks alongside the team. So yeah, Hyper 5 just felt a little bit dazed, I think, coming into this game, and the only thing that seemed to really work was when they went with fast-paced plays.
God, this skill from BMS was kind of insane, actually.
Yeah.
Don't think I've seen a collateral MP9 kill before, but regardless, no, Michael, this is also where you have to consider that for Chance, right? Like, he wasn't alone, even though if he is the clear MVP. He's the one you think of when he's getting aggressive middle. He's the one you think of when he's getting aggressive trying to take over these bomb sets and whatnot. But it felt like every time Fly King was in a position where he could just sort of hold down his feet and press left click, he was just he was just destroying anyone, getting multi-kills whenever that opportunity afforded itself to him. And that was sort of what it felt like Hyper 5 were missing, right? Other than Guk, who got a few good multi-kills when defending a site, I didn't really see anyone think, okay, yeah, this guy's going to be good for 2 in a round where they need it a lot. BMS even started to come alive later on, but unfortunately, if you don't have that star power, and that will be a little bit difficult to deal with the other team looking so good.
But there was just in general better interplay and better team play from the OS guys. We in that first half we saw a lot of kills be set up for Cedric with the support flashes from Mao, from HR, playing positions very well, and it felt like there was just very clear communication throughout that game, even though the Vietnamese team in Hyper 5 were trying their best to instigate a lot of chaos. I don't think that sort of permeated through into the communications for OS.
Oh, no doubt about it. OS consistently were just sticking to the, hey, let's just keep 3 or 4 players together early on the CT side. We're going to fight the player who's not nearby. He's just going to hold flashes, and if someone actually gets onto a site, sure, Cedric dies, they get A, we're just going to play for the retake, right? If they're coming to B, let them have B, we'll play for the retake. And that is sort of what Ancient has classically been, and it felt like OS sort of really understood that and did a great job on it. That being said, though, we've got to be closing this one out. I'm just checking and making sure that we will be having another game. We do not have another forfeit. No, we don't. All right, fantastic news. That's what you love to see. And you're going to get to see a little bit more Counter-Strike in just a minute. Stay tuned. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. Welcome back to the Eflare 100k Invitational. My name is Mamun Tea Time Sovereign Joe, Michael Yumi Cassidy, the man who will be stopping me from being incredibly biased in this game because, Michael, I finally get to do it. I get to cast a Pakistani. Let's go!
And one that you're very familiar with as well. I remember one of the first introductions I had to you. You were like, "Listen, if you want a Pakistani player, I have just the guy for you. It's Pokemon, and he's going to be in the server today." So yeah, I'm kind of excited for you to be, I guess, biased. I don't know how I'm going to be able to contain that, as well as being able to watch the Indonesian team on the other side of things as well. Sandman is a guy that I remember being quite notable previously on, I think, Nexka. Quite a long time ago. I feel like there was a lot of players that have been on Nexka, so they're just kind of all scattered around the Southeast Asia map, and alongside some other countrymen that have been able to compete representing Indonesia at IASF as well. So a very exciting game, I'm sure, ahead of us.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. And yeah, Young Danger is obviously made up sort of the leftovers of the Indonesian national team, which used to be Sandman and Zain, Waste of Ammo, Marcia and Nura. Marcia and Nura, of course, are currently playing with On-Game Warriors for this event. So Young Danger's got Sandman and Zain, as well as a couple of the other sort of Indonesian side over there with them. So yeah, it's going to be some fun stuff. I'm very excited to see how they actually do, because I know what to expect from Sandman and Zain, not so much from the rest of the three players. Similarly, when it comes to Dark Side, which of course the side that I'm going to be not biased at all towards. We've got ourselves some Malaysian representatives. We've got Anasasis and Enda, who have been doing particularly well recently in the ESA Open seasons. I believe them, Terminate, Kuma, who is also currently playing with Dreamscape, and Derek were playing together. So we've actually got quite a few sort of recently split apart teams that have all been amalgamated together, and both Darkside and Young Danger are made up of what is sort of the leftovers of the bunch from either side, right? So there is some advantage to Darkside, which is that 4 of these players have actually played together very recently. Anasis, Enda, Terminate, and Pokemon played a lot of the previous ESEA season together, while Derek wasn't able to actually commit to OTG. That came on later on. So there is some chemistry there, but at the same time, Young Danger is a national team, Michael, and national team's chemistry sort of goes together pretty well.
Yeah, no, it's going to make communication a lot simpler for sure, but the Southeast Asia region is actually, that's one of the strong suits it has in terms of marketability of players, is that a lot of the players from this region are able to effectively communicate in English. You know, that's the way that we bridge the gap between the borders of all these countries, especially when we're playing online video games. You know, I felt like I learned a lot about other cultures very frequently when I was playing, games like Dota or Counter-Strike on Southeast Asia servers. So it's a cultural melting pot, so to speak, but one that's a very, very large pot, and it can be sometimes hard to tie down servers, tie down different locations to different players, but effectively, I mean, I have no doubt that Darkside are going to put up a competitive game here just based on the individuals that they have, as well as the very, very smooth intercommunicatability that they've very well rehearsed.
Yeah, look, Michael, if there's one thing that I've definitely learned from playing on Southeast Asian servers for Dota, especially, I know we both have shared a lot of that experiences. I know swear words from like 4 different cultures and regions. Yeah, it's fantastic. You know what? I can't say them on air right now, but you know what I'm thinking.
I've been flamed in many a tongue.
I've been flamed in many a tongue and many a games. That's what it comes down to when you're as bad as I am. And listen, for these guys, I'm really interested as well to see sort of how Darkside, for example, is able to develop, because I know for a fact that this is a team that was not supposed to come together like this, right? There was a lot of roster sort of hoo-ha coming out. Obviously, some of these teams knew about Eflare beforehand, this 100k Invitational coming up, because a few of them were in conversation to be amongst the invited teams and whatnot. And Young Danger, Darkside, both of these guys have got players who might have been on another team. But so, you know, despite there being a lot of history between them, I don't think that either one of these are coming in with like the most scrim environment, with the most, you know, sort of heavily practiced environment. So it is going to be an interesting situation to find ourselves in. So they're both very similar teams in that regard, right? They're both teams that are sort of leftovers from a prior core that weren't able to make it to the bigger lineup. And now they're both are also teams that maybe thought that they would have been somewhere else. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup between them in that regards.
Yeah, no, and especially when we think about just Sandman versus Anasasis as well, 2 ex-teammates from that old Nexka roster, I think just as recently as Season 45, which is literally the last season of ESL Challenger League, for them to have been ex-teammates so recently, and then also having to compete against each other for what is this opening round game where you have said, I mean, it is true. We do have a lower bracket. It's not as though it's one loss and you're completely out of the tournament, but it's not a comfortable place to be. And there will be a little bit of understanding about what players like Anastasis want to do, because I seem to remember him going for some pretty aggressive lines in some of those games, and that's something that I don't imagine the Young Danger squad should be getting caught off by too frequently.
Well, look, lines will be drawn and gone for, but I'd love to know where they will be gone and drawn. Let's take a look at what the vetoes can actually be. I'm curious. I really, really hope this is a Mirage, Michael, because I just know these guys, all of them really love that map, right? It's a classic bug map, but at the same time, I know that the dark side guys like to lean into an Ancient. That's something that they were really heavily prioritizing, actually, funnily enough. Back in the previous season of ESA Open, I think they played more Ancient than any other map. So the fact that they have actually managed to pull that one out is interesting, especially when you consider that Young Danger, Sandman was IGLing the Indonesian team back at the IESF Asian Championship, if I'm not wrong, and Ancient was a map where it felt like they couldn't get anything going for themselves if not for Marcia and Nura going out for aggressive 1-2 rifling maneuvers. They did win it a few times, but it just looked pretty unimpressive. Insane especially looked like he was very lost on the map. So I'm surprised that they've actually let this one through, and they wouldn't want to maybe prioritize more of a, maybe more of an Anubis or hell, maybe even a Vertigo.
Hey, I mean, sometimes all it takes is you to be made to look like a fool on a map for you to really feel like you have to, practice and drill that into your brain, like how you're supposed to play these certain situations. Maybe you're overwhelmed by what's happening in terms of like the opening sets of utility exchanges and how you counter react, or what the open space should be, quote unquote, based on what utility you see. There's a bunch of different ways that you can improve yourself with a loss. It's why we always say you learn more from losses than you do your wins. So I hear your concerns, but I'm going to choose to ignore them until we see what happens in the server. Basically, because I fully expect that, in anticipation for this event, even in anticipation of this veto, if they're going to let it through, there should have been some work done behind the scenes to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
Oh, that's you would at least do hope that for sure. As far as Dark Side is concerned, right, when they were OTG and they still had 3/3.5, depending on whether you'd count Pokemon as a stand-in for them or not, of the same players when they were playing Ancient out, they relied a lot actually on force fight wins. And that sounds weird, but they've got some very strong deaglers, and it didn't feel like they were always necessarily winning out on the gun rounds the same way. Compared to, they're getting these clutches now, they were getting these force by wins out, and it felt like maybe a little bit more for criticism of the teams they were playing against than sort of an ode to how well they were playing when their Ancient came through. And look, their individuals are really good, don't get me wrong, but it didn't necessarily always feel like they were all on the same page, right? You felt like sometimes they completely ignored mid control. They sometimes would go into defaults where there are 3-0-2 split and things like that. Some strange calls in Ancient, but hey, if you're hitting your shots, I guess it works.
Yeah, it's also one of the things I think that's weighed the Asia region down a fair amount. There were certain metas, especially in the European side of things, where force by wins were almost expected to a certain point because people were saying certain pistols were broken. But then when those got nerfed, that still seemed to permeate into the Asia market and Asian competition very frequently. And yeah, I think it is more of a marker against the teams that are losing to those force buys and the ones that are winning with them. I do think MR12 makes it so that the economy is kind of less conducive to having those force buys kind of thrown in. You don't go for a second round force very frequently. If you're going to be going for half buys or pistols and armor, you're very frequently doing that when you're on a very big loss streak already, where you have basically max loss bonus and you want to get a full reinforced buy. So I do think that there are reasons why that won't be as much of a factor in this game now that we've moved to MR12, now that we're in Counter-Strike 2 as well.
Oh, absolutely. You'd hope so, right? At the very least. But at the same time, Michael, we talk about MR12 maybe reducing the impact of force buys and everything. It also does increase the impact of successful force buys, right? If you do win one of those out, then it's always that sort of French Counter-Strike argument, which you think back to all of the podcasts that people did, all of this and all that, and it all just sort of came down to, but if we win, though, we will have big advantage. And that's sort of more true now than ever.
Don't double down. It was bad.
But hey, the point is, if they are winning, right, it does feel like you're taking away so much more. But now with the reliance on the op seemingly having decreased a bit in CS2, sort of as a product of the economy, as a product of the gameplay changes, maybe they're not as impactful. I don't really know where you stand on that.
What, the AWP or the pistols? Because
the pistols' impact on, are force buys actually more impactful now if you win them?
I think
you don't need the op as much.
I definitely think they are, because you have less buffer to recover. We've subtracted 20% of total rounds and a half, and for CTs, stability is the biggest key in terms of like reinvestments. So in terms of you have less rounds to play with, which means you capitalize on loss bonus for fewer rounds. I do think it makes a bigger difference. That said, I think what we've seen happen more frequently with the changes of less rounds and a half, as well as the current economic state of things, is we've had more teams go for these scrappy looking buys with like 3 Galils, 2 Tech 9s, and a bunch of utility. That way you kind of get best of both worlds of like a full force buy. When we're thinking about old force buy mechanics, we'd go only pistols, armor, some util. But now you have the range that you can take advantage of as well. And then you can just very easily find yourself into free weapons if you're on pistols as well. So I think it's just the way in which we have to think about force buys maybe is just changing as we move further and further into Counter-Strike 2.
And look, as far as these guys are concerned, right, they've gone through the different meta games of CSGO as well, right? So they have sort of seen the best and the worst of the force buy wars, and you would expect them to perhaps have maybe put a bit more thought into drills and whatnot as we are going into this MR12 system, right? Sandman's been around for a very long time, even on Dark Side. If I even think about Pokemon, obviously, I know he's been around for a long time, but he's been playing even back on the RMR level, even since 2020. It's been 3 whole years since he sort of broke onto what you would consider the quote-unquote top of Asia. And even before that, it was back in 2018 and whatnot, where he was in contention to qualify out for Extreme Plan for the Middle East region, right? So you would expect players with this kind of experience to make that a priority and to make it that, hey, we want to win this 100K event. There aren't any Chinese teams playing. There are no Mongolian teams playing. We actually have a chance here. Let's try and not screw it up by losing to Deagles.
Yeah, I just want to knock you down a couple pegs because you're gassing this guy up. And listen, if you've not made those events, if you've not been on a successful team that's been able to, at least hold your own for like a good 4 to 6 month period within the region, especially when there's so much growth opportunity. We look at the emergence of teams like Lin Vision as a very young team when they were kind of on the precipice for a long time, but can never really break that next level. Now are probably the top team within China. You look at the Mongols, you look at D13 or a Raft, Eruption, whatever you want to call them.
Wow, you're right, man. Sandman's really left behind a lot of opportunities. Damn, man. What's Sandman doing?
No, I mean, I just mean that there are these teams that have clearly grown over time, and if you aren't a part of one of those teams, it's very hard to make the argument that you're one of the top within the region.
Listen, man, why are you throwing shade at the Indonesians like that, Michael? Why you got to be like that to those poor guys? They're just trying to compete over here.
And they can keep trying. I want to see them succeed.
No, but of course, listen, that is one of those things, right? Like, you have to actually make it through, and it's not like the road to the top is paved with the most difficult opponents, right? Asia's got some globally competitive teams at the very top, right? You've got Lin Vision, you've got Mongols, you've got not Rare Adam, can't call them that. I mean, Tai Lu, yes, and then maybe you've got a smattering of teams around the ATOX and whatnot. Outside of the top 5, there's definitely a world where any of these teams can actually come through. It seems like the condition is them sticking together, and everyone comes up with their own excuses / reasons that, hey, we can't stick together because of X, Y, and Z. But listen, we've got Eflare now. We've got other tournament organizers getting into it. This is a 100K invitation, for God's sake, right? North American players and whatnot would be foaming at the mouth for something like this. We might finally be getting infrastructure like it. And if you can't perform here and now, then you're just not gonna make it, man. There isn't a space for you in CS2 if you can't make it now. It's now or never. But we are gonna say a small break. We are going to take a little bit of delay, slightly anticlimactic when I'm saying now or never. We've got some server issues going on. We're just going to be fixing those out. Got to pull out my trusty wrench and whatnot. So we'll be back in a bit, and we'll be back with the game. Right back into things. Ancient, always fun to see in Asia, and especially for these two teams, I am excited to see what they can bring to us. Darkside rushing into them is Young Danger on the say bomb side, B bomb side. God, I'm getting everything wrong, Michael. Anasis is down. Noski is the one to find two quick frags, and with Darkside losing players left and right, Rossing is not feeling too safe here at the back of the bomb side, and fighting back to Enda, and Rossing 4 kills very quickly found. It felt like Young Danger had that round, and it slipped right out of their fingers.
Oh, they just tried to use overwhelming force, but it is pinpoint precision on every single fight between the two of them, just knocking heads. And Young Danger were playing shoulder to shoulder, only to find one more bullet waiting for them around that corner. That is a great recovery from what looked like a complete rollover round for Young Danger's favor. Darkside overturn it with a great little 2 versus 4. Wow. They didn't even have time to think about that one. They just all guns blazing.
Enda just like quickly swallowed the limitless pill or something. They tick 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 tick. I'm done.
I've killed them all, and there's none left.
Well, Young Danger with a bomb plant will still be quite dangerous as we see them heading over to the A bomb site this time. I will get it right. Actually gonna be able to cheat past the smoke if they want to, but a Molotov flying in will dissuade them from that prospect. So much util used early on from Darkside. I am surprised to see that.
Yeah, they did get enough push into B main though. That's why they felt like they understood exactly what was happening. There's no presence in middle, there's no presence in B, but because they got met by that smoke and a Molotov, they've reset back to middle.
Pokemon is ignored. Noski taken down, but now Anasis has given space to Poke to peek out as well. Anasis, however, doesn't need any help. 3 quick kills. I will swear that is a mouthful to say. Anasis.
Anasasis.
Yes.
I do remember stumbling over that when he was playing with Nexka. Oh, that's a little awkward. Rossing, they know exactly where you are, bud, but I don't know if this is a bait that will pan out or not. Okay. Yeah, I couldn't quite get enough contact on that spray. Those hands are meant for shooting, but not to receive the bullets.
Interesting. Young Danger are actually going to continue to invest. This was one of the things I remember seeing actually on the Indonesia side as well, and I really, really hated it. It felt like Sandman and company, back when they went to the IESF Asia Championship, really liked to prioritize just trying to whittle down CT economy. Back then, I didn't like it because waste of ammo did seem like a big win condition, but now Rossing is just mowing them down. The grenades are good, the MP9 kills are better, and it feels like there's really nothing for Young Danger to do here.
Yeah, Rossing died in the way he wanted to go out, in a blaze of glory. Anastasis was there to at least facilitate that, but also swept up the remaining kills. He wanted to get his hands on a rifle anyway, so it all works out. He made his money on the SMG, and now we're moving to that full gun round here from Young Danger. They were on a third stage loss bonus, so the fact that they invested in that previous round doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
But there was no real option, I think, for them to squeak out that AWP. Would have had to probably skimp out on armor or utility. We've not seen a lot of AWPs in general. Of the games we've witnessed today, at least. Maybe that will change as we get further and further into the competition.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who was opting for Darkseid. I actually think that even on OTG, they weren't actually picking it up very often. This is very much a 5-rifler core.
Very conservative from both sides. Conceding quite a bit of control, but offering up some utility thrown in their face just to keep them at least honest. Maestro did take
just trying to...
Yeah, it took a lot of damage, really, considering he's not actually been in a gunfight yet, but first one will happen onto Terminate, taken down by Noski, and that will be the prompt to go in towards the A site.
Enda is all alone, and they are going to be accelerating. There's only 35 seconds. They know they need to go in, but Enda's already got one, make it two. He's just holding on for dear life and more. 3 kills every time they contest him. Enda is a monster. Noski does somehow manage to keep things somewhat under control, but they think this is an empty B bomb site. They could not be more wrong. Rossing is lying in wait. Peek forward, Leistra holding on, but he didn't have the HP. Could have to be really conducive. Flashbang in the face of Noski, but he feels like he has to accelerate just to try and get the bomb down. It will be planted in time, but can there be a denial? No. Rossing will, however, collect the frag, but what a round from Enda.
Yeah, I mean, so sharp on every one of those fights. Isolated the A main player who shouldn't have made contact. You know, that's a massive mistake made by Young Danger when you have 3 players coming out of dark like that. Maybe jiggle peeking the big box, sure, but wide swinging when you have no real way or means of fighting back. You know, SA wasn't prepared for that duel whatsoever. They now feel funneled. They feel like they have to try and press Enda, and he hit every shot that was given to him, so fantastic effort from him. Only Rossing that ties the bow on top. Darkside doing a great job in general of punishing the overplay, and also, I think, bailing themselves out with some really nice sharp shooting.
Okay. He goes, but Leisha's taking him down. The aggression not rewarded, and a Molotov will separate, but Rossing had no bullets in his gun. A massive oversight.
Drew the weapon out in the open and commits to a reload right in his opponent's face. Terminate is just another casualty. So a 2 versus 5. There's surely no way that Enda can pull 3 out of this hat.
Yeah, you are right about that one. But maybe an assassin can. No, he can't.
When you say something with a sarcastic inflection, then, you know, if it happens, you're a genius. If it's not, I was right as well. You know, there's no losing, in fact.
Why are you revealing my secrets to everyone? Coster just taking back the curtain. Everyone's gonna be a Coster now, Michael.
Yeah, it's no secret. Not anymore, at least.
Gosh. Well, nades, molos, and glitches all to be found on the B bomb site, but no kills just yet. Pokey found out with a grenade in his hand. And a deep flashbang forward to see if Rossin can activate, but Flash is just blinding out either side. Will be really nothing much. Darkside neglecting middle. That is a choice that they've gone for to make up for the fact that their weaponry is a little bit non-existent. They do have the right weapons on the A-bomb side.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try and sneak their way in. At the moment, there's only one that's actually keeping eyes on the prize. That's Enda. Molotov is going to at least prompt some additional awareness, but a little bit of confusion, I think, there from SA. Not prepared for that duel. The trade is there, but Terminate's still a nuisance in from Donut. And a deep smoke into CT, but they've lost Lestro on his lurk. That flank is very, very quick, and Young Danger, not enough room to get a safe plant in. Nosji, first kill, sure, but not actually swinging wide enough to cancel the plant, but cannot take Donut as a post plant.
Smoke down and Donut. Noski needs to accelerate through. He knows there's only a scout here. Still takes a tag. HP almost gone, but he's left with a sliver. That's enough to keep the threat alive in the 2 versus 2. Remember, the CTs will have a smoke, though, to try and keep vision obscured. A flash down as well, and as they are swinging out wide, Pokey might have ended up flashing himself. In fact, Rossing will fall as well. So Young Danger hold on to yet another round. It is 2 in a row for them.
Yeah, it's a 4K from Noski as well to really dig them out of what was looking like a pretty deep hole. Things were looking dire once they lost that presence in towards middle. But just being able to deal with that player inside of Donut, get the plant in, and then play to survive as soon as they realized that Donut was compromised. Noski played positionally very, very well. Well, this is pacey.
About to be the perfect call as well. It feels like no, but they've completely redirected away.
This is weird.
But it is a bait and switch. They haven't properly cleared it. A lot of damage, a kill and a half. So for SA, this is the point where he starts to become worried. They're going to use a lot of utility, and Darkside recognize that they're pushing through B main. The bomb could be found. Sandman has got 3 players to deal with the bomb down, but now long ranges and Assassins in the pistol, finding another frag. They want to keep contesting. Pokey's found Noski with his gun out of bullets, but Listro is still here to provide the backup that was so desperately needed. Young Danger eke away around, but it is by the skin of their teeth.
Oh, thank goodness for Listro there. I mean, Young Danger were falling right into the trap, and a great little mid-round aggress from Darkside once they realized how long they'd left areas of the map uncontested. Decided to fight forward into B main, found the bomb, and did so well to trade out. But Listro dealt with the push through A, as well as ascended ledge just in time. Darkside now with a full investment, but Rossing a bit shortchanged on the MP9. See the AWP for Terminate, but a flash in to try and facilitate that SMG. They're both blinded up, but Listro got the worst end of the stick. Oh, that's depressing.
Downtown. I thought they'd gotten away with it, but not quite. Terminate better put up a show on this A site. Not the weapon to do with it. I won't lie to you, Michael. This position is not fantastic for an AWP. He is going to be struggling.
Given they killed 2 on B, they should expect that the CTs are going to hunt for some kind of information. Young Danger have not really been slowing outside of the area where they contest in the early round. And hearing all that util sail in towards that A-bomb site just confirms what they already had suspicions of. And a good kill before those smokes completely segment off that site.
What?
And Terminate, unaware of a possibility of a player being in Donut, still unable to hit the shot. 3 on 3 for this retake, and I think they have kits available here on the dark side camp.
Trigger needs to be pulled fast if they do want to go for this. That flashbang's going nowhere. Enda still just gets the kill by brute force. Sandman can respond, but Anastasis has found another one. Sandman's position was given up earlier on with the scope of the AWP. It will be very difficult to prevent the defuse from actually coming in. They can just try and stick it and rely on Terminate to actually come out on top in the duel. This time he will hit the shot. Enda's just giving them so many crazy rounds.
Yeah, a savior, I think it's fair to say. Really solid shooting. You know, sometimes it's only being given a glimpse of a player, but is there to punish, and has been key in so many of these moments, whether it's the pistol, whether it's his solo hold on A, or on the retake. Been a part of many different looks for the dark side defense.
Well, good to see Terminate. Only missing that one shot in the previous one. Ever since then, been consistent. Good adjustment as well. And this crossfire is really helping him out with this performance. He even peeks forward for a little bit more, and that is asking for too much. Could have maintained the 4v2, but he loses his life instead.
Got away with murder on those first 2 kills, so really just, I think, overconfident to deal with that final player in middle, but does open up the round. And a whole bunch of other possibilities. That's where the round will come to a close, though. SA caught in T-spawn with the bomb. And a 1 versus 3 here for Sandman, where those CTs are going quick to sit on the nest egg.
Great crossfire in middle, gotta say. Do appreciate that. But Rossing is gone. Sandman introduces him to his AK, and look, don't think he's aware of the second player, and there's a lot of noise being made, and can come through and collect on the last one, but they lose the AWP, they lose a second rifle as well. Dark side, expensive round for them.
Yeah, really solid work here from Terminate. Fixated on ledge for the fast play there from Young Danger. They wanted to clear mid very quickly, but no smoke towards the front side of Donut. That's the kind of thing that can happen to you. No flash, you know, thrown from a player in at elbow. These are the ways that you can kind of create more space for that player on ledge if they're going to make that quick ascent. But it's a fast play into B, and one player getting caught with their nades out, but Rossing had their gun drawn, and so Pokey survives for an extra 2. That is a very, very quick cleanup for Darkside.
Wow, this walking, talking trademark violation just got saved by Rossing, that's for sure. Felt like that would have been a free kill for the Tech-9s, but at least some cover fire will be provided. Young Danger are struggling right now, Michael. 3-7. And it feels like they just can't get past some of these individual plays, right? Even when they're catching out of timing, it seems like, hey, maybe Enda comes through, maybe Enda is able to get a kill or two. Terminate's had his moments. Rossing's definitely been a big one over here on the B-bomb site. Pokemon's been giving moral support.
Yep, just moral support. He's shown a willingness to fight. Hasn't always succeeded, but he's got the right spirit.
Flashbang won't connect, and they will be regretting that one. And Assassin's finding Noski, it's a trade 1-for-1. I have to say, it seemed like it's very aggressive, but gets information at least.
Yeah, maybe they were anticipating that ult was still in play somehow. Maybe having some extra funds here on the dark side camp. That was that flash that I was kind of talking about before to help you clear and funnel out to ledge for mid. They've set up for some smokes over on that B bomb side. One smoke to long, and there will be one exchange back by the CTs. They've got Sandman in middle as well. That'll prompt them to move straight through the smoke. Good kill from Pervical, but the elevation from Rossing almost betraying him. Took a lot of damage for that duel, but SA not feeling comfortable enough to plant. Actually had the space to do exactly that, and Rossing had him locked in.
Oh my God.
But now a 1-on-2 where there's a fresh smoke on short. It's all about this flank from Terminate.
He barely lived over there, and now he's going to be having a timing window on Ende. Ende's not ready for this. They're going to be expecting him to actually go inside the cave, but now Ende's going to move back and clear, and yes, he will. SA is gone, and Darkside will collect on their 8th round, so a Successful CT side continues to be even more so. That kill onto mid, Sandman just being read into, maybe going for that same lurking play a few too many times.
Yeah, they've been very cognizant of that being an area of contest late in the round. But really, it feels like Enda is doing so much in terms of just having a good read and feel of what's happening on the map. You know, that was another position where he could have been caught off guard. We would have neither batted an eye and said, oh, what a silly mistake to have made. But one step ahead of what Young Danger were up to. And the ult for Listro going right into the flames. Enda a double kill.
World, dude.
Just
He's
collecting
so
on
good.
kills. Single file, one at a time, boys.
Well, main character is still very much alive on the A-bomb side. Sandman, however, will take him down. So maybe a miracle in him yet. Terminate, however, will just be able to line up inside the smoke. There's only one place that bomb could have been planted. 9 for Darkside. A fantastic first half.
Yeah, a little rough around the edges in certain places. You know, definitely some rounds in which it looked as though Darkside shouldn't be able to win them, but, you know, just showing a lot of urgency in moments where Young Danger sometimes are letting their guard down when they're, you know, breaching into the bomb sites. Just a really strong effort to continue fighting for territory. This pistol is a must for Young Danger. I don't think there's any ifs or buts about it. Smoke into middle, and Darkside will try and cross into Donut. SA at the moment doesn't see them on the cross. Only maybe spotted one player, but here's the footsteps. Sandman trying to play conservative, but there's only so many places he could have funneled off to, and he gets overrun. They're trying to wrap in towards B, and that's with a more stacked bomb site, but winning the fights at distance. Only Listro that can stand his ground. It's Pokemon that finds the trade instead for him. A 1-on-2 now presented to SA, who took that first contact, and contact now has to clutch as well.
Oh my god, he's missing all of his shots! Oh god. That's a shame.
That's pain.
It's listen, all I'm gonna say is there was a world where Pokemon could have been on the other team as well, from what I understand. So hey, maybe he just got confused somewhere in the middle, right?
He saw the nameplate and he's like, alright, I'm taking him out.
Well, it's all good, all good. Fight down the middle, and the CTs don't have their weapons out in time. Rossing's getting a freebie. Now, there is another prong to this assault. It's coming from Pokey, who's trying to push forward, but a good flash will keep him at bay. He will, however, be given a few more duels that he simply cannot collect on. CTs have had their positions given up, but Darkside, they're happy with their losses. They don't really care. They're going to be up to 11 pretty soon with the way things are going.
Yeah, not a whole lot that Sandman could do. Both players were spotted on this A-bomb site, and Assassin's was locking him in, and Terminate as well, taking a deep position into CT spawn. Ender's even going to join him to try and create a quick little crossfire. Sandman doesn't clear towards his left, and that is a free kill every day. They could have set up for the knife if they really wanted to, but hell, Darkside at the moment are playing all over the map. And honestly, they are winning a lot of these engagements. They've caught Young Danger with their pants down more than a few times, and even in positions where players should go traded, like an Assassin's going up from ledge there and fighting into middle. That player underneath him is kind of designed in such a way that he can sort of surprise an Assassin's there, but just cannot get that kill back.
Straight in the middle, Sandman's just not ready. There's been no calls given up. There should have been footsteps heard, but the CTs have simply not communicated amongst themselves. And now with only one player on the same bomb site, SA feels like he has to make a move, but he doesn't realize Pokemon's already flanked him out. The call has been made, and SA is gone.
Yeah, not much more you can do aside from aggress. And Racing has to be very concerned about players above him. One player jumping out and the other clearing that cubby. But confirmation on where both these players were positioned here on Young Danger, so Darkside can hoof it into A. They're on his heels, though.
I mean, they're doing exactly the same thing. They're trying to catch the bomb planter off, but it's Ender. Come on, he never gets caught off. He's Let's go back up over here as well. Pokemon here to protect Mr. President. And it is 12 for Darkside, the most one-sided game feels like we've had so far. And it is the open qualifier team that looks to be incredibly impressive right now.
Yeah, just playing with some great pace and confidence. I mean, they've gone away with some wonderful shooting, some aggressive plays that go unpunished or untraded. So I could see why they're sort of going for these types of plays. Young Danger tried to do much the same on their T side, but we're getting shut down on those entries. Now it's just Racing closing the gap with a Tech 9, and he might just find a massive gap in through middle. It's a 3-2 split, no one covering mid, and Anasasis has just commanded presence through B. Gets the entry, and sure he goes traded, but there's no way they anticipate someone already to be compromising the backlines of the CT rotate.
Yep. Young Danger's just got no idea what's going on. They're being outplayed on seemingly every level, even when they're getting small space and they kill an advantage. It just feels like Enda comes out and just stomps on their neck. Racing as well, it has actually taken over the numbers game, but it does feel like, you know, his is more slow and steady more often than not.
I mean, on this T side, he's just been kind of running at them.
True, that is true. You know what? Bad phrase. SA alone, maybe something to be done, but he's turned away, so Racing gets one to the side, 13-3, Darkside. It's about as convincing as you can get with our final map of the day.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty fast game, all things considered. Not much of a fight put up by our Indonesian opposition, but a full mix of Asia representatives able to command a lot of respect, I think, in their opening round. Other teams that will have to face them further into the tournament will probably have to look out for some of these hyper-aggressive moves where people are just going independently to spots. Maybe one flash is being thrown in support, but aside from that, they're just willing to take fights and take it to you very quickly.
Oh, absolutely, and especially because I was thinking that if they're going to win this, it's probably going to look like, oh yeah, they're the ancient specialists, right? And that's where they're coming out on top. And, you know, for me, Darkside, I was expecting them to take it out because of the map pool, not necessarily because of the players they have. I feel like I got nothing from them as far as, you know, major stratting or this or that is concerned. It was good rotation on the CT side. It's decent information plays, and it's a lot of individuals stepping up when they're needed the most, right? It is insane. And I've just gotten word that we don't have an MVP graphic because the admins are on my side. They couldn't figure out a way to give Pokemon the MVP, so they decided better not have a graphic in anyway.
Yeah, or there were just too many MVP candidates. We'll go with that one instead, to be honest with you. Yeah, or the server broke. You know, that also seems to be a possible solution to why that's happened. Listen,
I mean, it's all a conspiracy to take it away from the Pakistanis. Is this because we are Pakistan?
Yeah. Listen, all in all, a very, very solid game plan from Darkside throughout. I don't think they overcomplicated things. It very much felt like, especially on CT side, they were playing spots. You know, they were talking to each other about what they wanted to do in terms of mid or whether they wanted to be aggressive together. You know, they would still make calls, but very frequently when it came down to those anchor players or those, even that secondary player on the bomb sites, very frequently playing by themselves, fairly isolated, but just winning a lot of those fights. And there's nothing Young Danger really did to threaten any of those positions, enough so that you had to see almost a breakdown in how the game started by Darkside.
And at the same time, Michael, you know, there was also the fact that there was quite a few places where the bomb actually did go down, right? And it feels like against a more experienced team, or perhaps against a team with maybe even just better individual players, you're not going to win a lot of those rounds, right? These were not uncontested rounds, despite this looking like an uncontested game.
I mean, it's just, you know, we even draw the comparison to the previous Ancient we saw on OS. You know, there's a lot of good team flash play. It felt like they were playing together, shoulder to shoulder for some trades very frequently. I didn't see a lot of that from Darkside in a very similarly successful effort here on Ancient. It just felt as though they got away with multi-kills more frequently on those anchor or rotating players. And there was kind of, it just felt like they weren't to the same caliber, unfortunately, on the opposite end. Like, Darkside played a very strong game individually, and I mean, if they play maps like Mirage, like Anubis, like Ancient, and, you know, they're able to sprinkle in some, I don't know, Overpass or Nuke in there, this is a team that can be very threatening to other teams within the bracket.
Oh, absolutely. And look, it's funny that you mentioned OS Esports because, in fact, that's who Darkside will be facing up against next in the winners bracket. If the bracket that I have is right, listen, guys, clearly I don't have everything figured out over here, right? So that there could be a few things, but we're gonna have that tomorrow's matchups with you in just a second. I think they should be against OS, but just to sort of recount, look, we've had quite a few forfeit wins today, so we're going to be taking a look at all of the teams that are going forward. Hopefully, from tomorrow onwards, that shouldn't be happening. But we've seen some great CS being played from a Taiwanese team. Who I haven't had the pleasure of spectating before. We've had some very competitive old school players coming back in with Balloon Animals. They look pretty good, despite having to go up against one of the more stable teams in Easy Peasy. And obviously, On-Gay Warriors and Old Goats, sort of the main two sort of sets of names that I think global audiences will be more interested in. They haven't shown themselves yet, so that'll be a fun time tomorrow as well to actually see all of that fantastic CS coming your way.
Yeah, kind of pumped for what some of the old guard have to offer us. Some of them coming back from other competitive FPS shooters just for one last hurrah, maybe. Or maybe, to re-spark interest in themselves as well. Or teach these youngins a lesson. I don't care what their motivations are. I want to see them in the server.
I want to see them getting wrecked at the server, that's for sure. But let's see what the schedule is for tomorrow as well. Of course, as a reminder, guys, we will be starting on an earlier time than we did today. It will be 2 p.m. Singapore time when it says GMT plus 8. That is Singapore time. It's a Southeast Asian tournament, guys. I don't know why we're saying GMT plus 8. Come on, guys. We got to cater to the audience. Dreamscape versus Easy Esport will be up there to start things off. Do Not Disturb versus King of Losing Clutches to follow up. Balloon Animals and X-Pro will be facing off against each other. And of course, that's not all. We've got 6 best of ones for you guys. The rest of the schedule is also going to include, I believe, Darkside versus OS and the like as well, as soon as we switch over to it.
Ooh.
Shabam.
Wow. Okay, I don't see Darkside anywhere. In fact, so they will be there though. They are one of those TBC teams. But Hyper5 versus Young Danger and Icarus and Salugard in Gogurd, in the lower bracket.
Yep, it's going to be some fantastic Counter-Strike. Make sure you guys are tuning in tomorrow as well for more Counter-Strike action. The Eflare 100k Invitational will be continuing then. In the meanwhile, you know what? Be excited. Southeast Asia is back and Counter-Strike is here to stay in, and hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow.